Early in this season, on Warriors Twitter, social media, I've seen Wiggins honestly be criticized more than Oubre. It's Oubre's criticism starting to build, the frustration starting to build, but really ultimately I hear more about Wiggins. And expectations will do that, right? The number one pick, $30 million a year. I understand that. But I think that there are several layers to this. Look, the shooting only has one way to go, and that's up. And I'll give him credit. He's not blinking, right? Like, dude started 0 of 17 and he's still shooting without hesitation. But it always starts with footwork. Kelly, he likes to hop to shot, which is great in certain circumstances when you don't have time to 1-2 step or you need to decelerate quickly. But ultimately, I'm a strong believer that the 1-2 step is optimal for rhythm and consistency with shooting, particularly from behind the arc. As a lefty, I'd like to see him use the standard right-left step into his catch a lot more often. I think it would give him a lot better rhythm, and more importantly, it would buy him time. Which brings me to where I think he can quickly improve the most. The triple threat. The base of all offensive basketball. Here's the crazy thing. Kelly, he doesn't really use it. And because of that, he's making things much more difficult than they need to be when attacking the basket, particularly attacking a closeout and when the ball is being swung to him on the weak side, which is a lot. Here's a good example of it. What he should do is show shot until the defender gets close and then simply rip through to the strong hand to the middle of the floor where there are a ton of options. Instead, he hops into a negative step, all while mistiming the closeout and the direction he should have attacked. Here's another example where his hop is just a wasted motion, and then there's the negative step out of bounds, aka the Beatrice. All this should be is a catch and a rip. Watch KD just make it look easy, and that's because once you've mastered the triple threat footwork, it is that easy to attack a closeout. The two bad habits he has is, one, he doesn't wait for the defender. He mistimes when to go. And then he likes to cross step to his right, across his pivot foot, which leads to travels and less separation on your first step. Again, I go back to using a 1-2 on the catch rather than a hop. I think it would naturally help him with his timing, allow him to read the closeout better, and properly use the triple threat. Here's another master at the triple threat, Melo. Watch him let the defense do the work for him. Staying with the concept of timing, pace is the other area offensively I think he could greatly benefit from. The irony of Tsunami P is he doesn't really have much in his bag when it comes to handles. And that's fine, considering his athleticism and size. He's a straight line driver. And we know if he can get where he wants, it can end spectacularly. But look at all these attacks. They all have one thing in common besides resulting in a turnover. They're all at one speed. Think of it like HDR or contrast. If you want to make something look really bright, you put it next to something really dark. If Oubre can learn to slow down at times, change speeds, it will make his fast even faster and his athleticism pop even more. The other thing is, stop trying to dunk everything. Stop trying to dunk everything, just please. Now, I understand you don't have the body count that he does without the mentality of trying to dunk everything. It goes hand in hand. But he's leaving points on the table by doing this. And to understand that is part of maturing as a player. I also think that's probably why he loves that hop on the catch so much, because it's great to launch yourself at the rim if you are a dunker. Developing an up and under move when the dunk opportunity isn't there would really help him get to the line and just make him a much more efficient player. Defensively, he is about as flashy as it gets, but that's not necessarily always a good thing. I mean, on ball, yeah, he can be as good a wing defender as there is in the league. He's long, he's quick, and he's aggressive. And that's what sticks in most people's mind. But off the ball, he's got a long way to go, man. He's as thirsty for steals as he is for dunks. Probably because one usually leads to the other, right? But I promise you, the scouting report on Oubre is he will give up at least one backdoor a game. Pause. Simply put, he gambles too much. Whether it's overplaying a ball denial or trying to shoot the gap, he's just gambling. He's taking unnecessary risks. And I get it because he hasn't really played on good defenses before. And so he would end up with steals and recovery blocks and kind of, get that glory. But now this is a team that has the potential to be really good defensively. So it's important he plays his part. And that means not compromising the integrity of the defense. In other words, there should be no reason for him to gamble this much on this team. Just play your part and stay disciplined. The other issue he's having is switching. He's so good at staying attached to his guy, it just seems that it's just not really in his DNA to hand a player off, if that makes sense. And he's been the biggest culprit when it comes to those miscommunications. Now, don't get this video twisted. I'm not making this to hate on Kelly Oubre. I'm making this to help him. I'm making this as a coach. I'm making this as a Warriors fan. It's clearly too early in the season to give up on him. And frankly, the Warriors can't. I don't think Kelly is a closed-minded person. I think the question is, at 25, are these habits too deeply ingrained in his game? Even if he wants to change, can he? So, what do you guys think? Kelly Oubre is 25 years old, 5 seasons in the NBA. How much of a finished product is he? Or is some of this just IQ stuff where it's kind of like you can't coach that up? You either get it or you don't type of stuff, right? And maybe he's just not a system fit, right? He's not a thinker out there, and it's not a match for this system. I will point out, because I think initially you say, well, he's 25, right? He's young, he's still getting better. That doesn't hold as much truth in today's NBA. When you consider the club circuit and then how much basketball and specific training these kids are getting up into the league, that's why you're really seeing it across all sports. Like, you can point to quarterbacks coming out, right? But let's keep it in the basketball area here. These kids are coming out much more polished and ready to contribute right away. He's played 5 seasons in the NBA, so when you add the context of how much basketball he's played, a lot of these players at 25 and 26, they are a finished product. So I think the question becomes, how willing, how ingrained, like I had mentioned before, how ingrained are these habits, and can they change? We can't give up on him, right? This is a commitment to him, at least for this season, and they need him. There's no way he's getting benched. I don't care how frustrated you get with some of the things he's been doing out there. And look, he brings a lot of energy. I think one intangible that he's been robbed of in this weird season is he plays off the crowd, and the crowd feeds off his energy. Right? And so he's not able to bring that intangible, but the effort's always there. And that's the other point that I wanted to bring up here, because early in this season, on Warriors Twitter, social media, I've seen Wiggins honestly be criticized more than Oubre. It's Oubre's criticism starting to build, the frustration's starting to build, but really ultimately I hear more about Wiggins. And expectations will do that, right? The number 1 pick, $30 million a year. I understand that. But I think that there are several layers to this. One of them being, when you look at a player like Kelly Oubre, you never question his effort, right? His effort is on 10 all the time. And so it's a much easier pill to swallow when he's struggling because, again, you're not questioning the effort. He's playing as hard as he can. Maybe not as smart as he can, but as hard as he can. Where you look at a player like Wiggins, where you're questioning his effort. And that is much more frustrating to a fan base, right? There's that. And then let's keep it a buck here. There's an aesthetic appeal, right? Kelly Oubre is a good-looking kid. He's got a lot of swag. He has a lot of flashy plays. And sometimes that kind of seduces you into taking it easier on what's actually happening out on the court, because he's been pretty damn bad. Andrew Wiggins has been way better. But ultimately, we need both of them to play better to have a shot at playing in the playoffs this year in this Deep West, or getting into that playoff. A playoff, play-in game is what they're calling it, right? Anyway, again, let me know what you think. How many games are you willing to put up with this before you write him off? Because it's too early right now, or is it just he doesn't get it? It's not a system fit. Interested to see your take on that. If you've been wondering about my other Warrior takes, you know where to find them. Patron, every game broken down, 12, 15 minutes. I'll hop on here and there, man, but I gotta balance out my productivity and energies. So what we got tonight, that rematch against Portland, that's kind of fun, right? Like initially, I didn't like the concept of playing teams back to back like that, but you see one game where it's a blowout and the Warriors get to immediately come back and kind of redeem themselves. We get to see what adjustments the coaching staff makes, as well as what type of pride this Warriors team is going to show. I got one tip for Steve Kerr. How about you don't put Damian Lee on Melo? How about that? But yeah, man, I look forward to that. Super blessed that James was all right. I can't even lie. I lost my stuff when he went down like that. He got dropped like he got hit by a sniper. And that looked like a full roll. So I think we dodged a real bullet there. Let's see. We got to give these kids time. I'm out, y'all.